Welcome to Suthichai Live English. Today I'm going to call all the way to Chicago to talk to my friend, คุณตรัก ศิลปะ ดุริยาง who recently just was granted a Ph.D. as Sergeant of Police now. I have plenty of things to talk to him about. His life in America, his decision to become a policeman in America, and of course, his journey through law enforcement in the United States of America. And of course, if I sat down with him, I would ask him about police reform in general, in theory. And if in Thailand we're going to seriously consider police reform, what are some of the elements, the basic attributes that we should start thinking seriously about? So, สวัสดีครับ คุณตรัก How are
สวัสดี
you?
ครับ
How are you?
I'm doing very well, Kun Suthichai. It's happy to see you again. We have not talked for a while.
Yeah, right. And I must first congratulate you on finally achieving one of your lifelong goals, Ph.D. Huh? How difficult was it?
Thank you very much, sir. Took me 7 years. That is my American dream, to be honest with you.
Wow.
I did not believe that I would come this far. So 7 years, 7 long, brutal years of hard work. Yes, brutal. And in tears, sir, in tears. Many
Really?
times.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Why was it so tough?
The coursework, well, I'll go back to 2017 when I enrolled the first time in my first class. One of my professors told me at that time that there was 25 of us in the class, and she actually told us that 95% of you not going to graduate. You're not going to make it.
95% we're not going to
90, you're not going to make it.
And you told yourself that I'm going to be with that 5% who, against all odds, would succeed?
Absolutely, sir. So to be honest with you, I finished it last year, walk across the stage in 2023. And believe it or not, out of 25, I was a third person.
Wow, that really was a dream come true. Mm-hmm.
It is. I can't thank my family. I wouldn't be able to do it without them, honestly.
Uh-huh. What was your topic of the thesis that you finally made it to get a PhD in?
So my major is in educational leadership, and believe it or not, I did my dissertation, we call it, with the Thai police.
Oh, okay.
So the name of it is the sanctity of human life, an examination of the effects of education and training of less lethal force option devices in the loyal Thai police. Interesting topic, correct?
Very much so. Sanctity of life. If you talk to a typical Thai police officer about sanctity of life, I think, he would be quite surprised that this constitutes a serious topic in the life of a policeman. Why did you choose this topic in particular?
Because it's an excellent question, first of all. I believe in human rights, the sanctity of human life. Everyone should be look at it equally, regardless of what color your skin may be, what social economic you may be, poor, middle class, rich, we're all the same. So as a police officers, we have to look at everyone equally. That's the start, right? Because we're public servant. We serve the public, right? We work for the public. We work for the people of the country, the community members. So that is one of my main objective why I became a police officer, is because I love helping people.
Well, let me go back a little bit. How did you go to America, and how did you end up becoming a policeman in America?
So it's going back to I have to thank my aunt who passed away several years ago. She brought me here to Chicago. She used to work for the Foreign Ministry Affair for Thailand. So we came to Chicago to open up a consulate, a Thai consulate in Chicago. So she brought me here with her. And when I was about 13, 14 years old. And I left Thailand with a with probably no hopes in Thailand. If I didn't make it here to the US, I probably, who knows, in jail or whatever it may be. So thanks God for that. And she brought me here. And again, it's the American dream. I want to make sure that we all understand, there's opportunities here, unlike in Thailand, I believe, the equity of education, the job opportunities. So you really, whatever you want to be, you could do it.
Yeah.
You have to work hard. So sometime, we can't say the same thing in Thailand, right? Especially in education. So that's you and I could have another conversation on that in terms of
Yes.
the equity of education in Thailand.
Yeah. But then, a typical Thai, a young kid going to high school in America, the last thing on his mind would probably be becoming a policeman in America, a police officer, because most Thai kids in America would think about becoming business people or perhaps making money on Wall Street. But police officer? How did that idea come up? And how early was it that it dawned on you that despite all the difficulties, and being a Thai, would an American police force take a foreigner like me? How did that idea come about?
It started a little bit later in my life. To be honest with you, sir, I did not finish my undergrads until I was 28 years old. So I worked through, my aunt left when I was 18 years old. I was still a senior in high school. So I stay with my friends, and I'll have to thank my Thai friends that we're still buddy until today. That him and his family took me on, and I worked my tail off, during the day and went to school at night. And again, I did not get my undergrads until, it took me about 8 years, almost 10 years to get my undergrad.
Wow.
My bachelor degree. And then again, hung out with great friends at that time. So that's, that kind of led me to a right direction instead of the bad directions. And then, a couple of friends became police officers. And then, I look at the uniform, I look at how cool it was. And then there was it. I took the test and I passed the test, and then I got on. So I'll
And of course, it wasn't easy when you took the test because the competition must be quite tough.
Yes, absolutely. So the process was that, you took the written test. And at that time, Kun Suthichai, back in 2000, I did a suburban police department first. It's like a little small town outside Chicago. I didn't really start in Chicago at that time. So the competition wasn't as bad as in Chicago, but I did 2 years out in the suburb, and then I decided to join the Chicago Police Department because, again, Chicago Police Department is the second largest police department in the country. However, the city itself is the third largest in the country. So NYPD, which is New York Police Department, is the biggest, Chicago second, and then LAPD third. So again, friends went on the police department, and being an Asian American, small amount of percentage. So I believe right now we're only about 3% of Asian American. You're not talking about Thai now. We're talking about Asian American. So about 3 or 4% within the police department, because most Asian people don't want to be policemen. Just like you mentioned earlier, most Asian, right, doing business or being doctors. So that's the professions that they choose to go to.
And when you got in, were you disappointed or were you delighted?
No, I was very delighted. I was very happy because, again, there weren't too many Asian at that time, especially Thai. My mother came for my graduation, and then I met my wife at that time here in Chicago. She's also Thai. She's from Nakhon Pathom, and and so that was probably the happiest day of my life when I finished training and made through the police academy. And then we went every policeman start at the same from the police academy, then you have to go on patrol.
So you have been doing patrolling almost all your police life so far.
For the most part, for my first 7 to 8 years, if you recall from our last conversation, I was an instructor at the police academy up until I got promoted to a sergeant of police. Then I became a supervisor. Once I became a supervisor, they sent me back to patrol to learn how to be a supervisor in patrol. Then they sent me back again to the training academy to be a supervising sergeant of the police academy. So currently I am in charge of a little bit over 100 police cadets, along with instructors as well, a team of instructors.
Did you have to become American citizen before you could apply to be a policeman?
Yes, at that time when I apply. However, now, as you recall, or you have heard, since George Floyd incident, very, very difficult to have police. We're short right now throughout the country. Not too many people want to be police officers anymore. It's a tough time for us here in the U.S. in terms of hiring.
Your experience as a patrolman, has it been exciting? Has it been challenging? Because you have to walk the streets, you have to meet potential criminals, you have to protect innocent people. What was the biggest challenge?
So overall, as you know, Chicago probably, ranked in the top 5 in one of the most violent city in the country. What I like about, big city police department, after you graduated from your police academy, this is going back when I came on, is that you have to do foot patrol to interact with community members. That's where you start. You have no seniority, so you're going to do foot patrol first for a little bit, and then after that, you could work in the squad car, in a patrol car with your training officers. So patrol, everyone start in patrol pretty much, and then after a couple years or several years, then you can move on to other units.
What were some of the most memorable moments as a patrolman in Chicago?
Quite a bit. I'll give you a quick, one. Sometimes you get shot at. Sometimes you don't know where the round comes from. I remember, being shot at the squad car. But you don't know where the round came from. And then, one very memorable moment for me is that, who would thought a 8-9-year-old boy would carry a gun that could kill you? So that's probably one of the incidents that's kind of, broke my heart a little bit, that, an 8-year-old boy carrying a gun. And, as a police officer, you would never thinking about do a searching, a custodial search. That's what I mean as a police term on a 8-year-old boy, because you wouldn't think that he would be carrying illegal gun.
Right. So when an 8-year-old boy carries a gun, do you treat him as a boy or as an adult?
As a boy. And the funny part was his father gave it to him so that way, we won't be able to find that gun, concealed on the father.
Mm-hmm.
So the boy was nice enough to tell me that his father told me to hang on it for him.
Mm-hmm.
So, and an 8-year boy could still pull the trigger and kill you,
Yeah,
kill police officers.
yeah. So that's why I asked you whether you treat him, as a normal, having come of age person, or you treat him as a boy who needs to be treated differently.
Yeah, we treat him as a youth. We didn't charge him for concealed carry or carrying illegal gun. We actually charged the father for child endangerment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So by law, we charge him as a child endangerment for giving the gun to his son.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It could have been bad situations.
Oh, no. There have been many cases of public shootings in America recently. And in Thailand, this kind of incidents has also, started to become more frequent. You handle some of these cases, and I think you have done some training for Thai policemen on how to handle mass shootings, active shootings. What is your experience? What can you tell the Thai people about this kind of incidents? How do you handle it in America, and how would you handle it in Thailand?
So active shooters, probably going back over 10 years, I would say at least 15 years or more since Columbine incident. Columbine's a high school out in Colorado, I believe. I'm not sure what year it was. I think that was the first time the active shooter incident happened in the U.S. And since then, it's been a pattern of practice, active shooter incidents. And as I recall, in 2012, I went to Thailand for the first time to train the Thai police on active shooter response. And at that time, as I remember, the Thai police kind of confused a little bit how we respond to this, because it didn't happen. They never encountered anything like that at that time. But I remember telling them that it's going to be some copycats. It's going to happen, and sure enough, it happens. Even though no one's want this type of incident to happen, but it sure did happen, and probably going to happen again and again, as long as we have guns, right? That uncontrollable out there. So we have to look at prevention. I think as a whole, as a government, as a country, as a community members, we have to educate not only the police. We have to educate the community members as well, because the community, the police cannot respond quick enough to these incidents, because I believe the average or the range, it could be over in a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
We have to understand the objective of these active shooters and in these these individuals that looking to to create or to their objective is to take many lives as they can as quickly as possible, because they know that once the police arrive on scene, they're going to get into a shootout with the police. So again, educating the public is important for every police department, including the Thai police, right? Run, hide, fight. We have to spread the words. And I think gun control, from the government is another key factors. And also having, the police officer being well trained and equipped with all the equipment, understanding that every, second is important, every minute is important, to respond quickly. And I think last but not least, Kun Suthichai, is the mental health, right? Post-COVID, we have to look at this, look at the, as a whole, individual that going through these mentally ill individual and some type of crisis, And I think the government, and all of us need to step in and rectify or assist and try to tackle this issue as much as possible.
I think that's something quite new to the Thai police force, but then they have to learn fast because frequency of such incidents has really sent warning signals to Thai society as a whole.
Yes, sir. I think person in crisis, we call it in the U.S., basically mentally ill individuals. I think it's not the family issue, it's a society issue. We have to take on the responsibility of assisting the family, and those individuals that going through this type of episode or crisis.
Well, in Thailand at the moment, we are talking about police reform in a more urgent pattern now because of some of the scandals we have been talking about. And at the moment, we, number one police officer, number two have been transferred to the Prime Minister's office because they were bickering in public. But in fact, it's deeper than that. It's not only public quarrels, but allegations about illegal activities by our top brass in the police force have been quite disturbing for the Thai public. But I wouldn't want to go into detail about that because the situation may change as we speak. But in general, the term police reform has been on every government's agenda in the past 10, 20 years. But it seems that we have difficulty achieving the goal for various reasons. What is your theory or your practical experience about reforming the police force? What are some of the factors that we must take into consideration before we can embark on real serious police reform in our country?
Yes, that's a great topic to talk about, and we could talk about it all night, right? So it's 11 o'clock at night here in Chicago, and I love talking about police reform. So let's start with what constitute police reform, why, right? And I think police department has to have a objective or goal. So what is the goal of the police department, or the objective of police department is, well, police department needs to think about, we have to focus on human rights, as I mentioned earlier, the sanctity of human life. And more importantly, we have to practice constitutional policing. We have to establish core values. We have to look at, what's the core values of the police department. And I believe that, police department across the U.S. share the same core value. And I'll name some of the example that we talk about often is professionalism, integrity, courage, and respect. Okay. And I'll unpack each one of them. So, why is it important to be professional? Because again, police officers are being held at a higher standard. It's not the same standard as the community members or the citizens of the country. So again, being professional at all times, treat people the way you want to be treated. And I think integrity, it's the key here. I think we could argue about this topic here, within Thailand is, and oftentimes we talk about here in the U.S. is doing the right thing when no one's looking.
That's important.
Right, that's the key. That is important.
The right thing, even when people are not looking.
Correct. So, and then courage, obviously, it's okay to be afraid, but not be a coward. Okay, and then respect, and I think respect will be the key too. Regardless of, what color that skin, what social, economic, poor, middle age, I'm sorry, poor, middle class, or rich, we should look at, individuals all across the board the same way. And I think, more importantly is what we call in the U.S. is the procedural justice and police legitimacy, right? You know, we need when we interact with community members, we want to make sure that, you know, we always want to give the people a voice, you know, let them voice their concerns, being neutral in your decision making. You know, what that means is being impartial and unbiased, be respectful again, and then be transparent about your process, which means the trust, right? You could build that trust. So the problem that we're having here, I think across the globe, is that, well, let's talk about the U.S. and Thailand. So Thailand is, I think right now, if you would agree with me, is that trust, correct, between the police department and the people of Thailand. So, you know,
lacking. It is seriously lacking trust.
Right. Yes. And how do we regain that? How do we regain that trust? Is community policing. Yes. So first of all, the reform has to implement all these contents that I just mentioned. And then, but more importantly, you need to work with the community. Yeah. Okay. The community, every decision that you make as a police department, we need to get the community involved. They have to be part of the police department. And that's how we do it here in the US. I think for the Thai police, maybe they have to look at the reform in terms of changing because the way they structure right now is the military style policing. Here in the US, it's not the military style policing. It's because, again, the structure itself, you know, if you look at Kun Suthichai, the rules of engagement is different between military and the police. Yeah. Right. So again, the rules of engagement. So again, the military, you know, they protect the country, the enemy of the state. The police department, it's to enforce domestic law, right? So the structure should be different. So we could not train the police like we train the military, because the people of Thailand or the people, you know, of the US, we're not the enemy of the state. They're just, you know, the community members that violate the law, right? So again, that's got to be different. So, you know, you have to go back to community policing, you know, get the input, the policy has to get involved with the community, and you can regain that trust. Let the community members have the decision, have their voice in the police department and in the policy and how we do things, how the police department do things on you know, when they interact with the community members.
Right. Corruption.
Yes.
How do you handle corruption in the police force? Or prevent? And then if it happens, how do you tackle it?
So I think let's start with, and again, I don't want to criticize the Thai police. We're just going to talk in general, where, you know, you have to be able to pay them well enough that they could survive. You know, so that's a start, right? And I think, you know, and I'll go back to, you know, police officer in the US. Most of us are well paid, you know, for our job, for what we do. So again, you know, that has to be balanced. And then once you establish that, then you have to have a policy, you know, for corruptions. That corruption, it's unacceptable, you know, in the police department, and the community will not accept that. And then if you find a police officer that corrupt and being unethical, then you take, you know, then you, how you enforce that is you punish that particular person to the fullest of the law and the policy. And more importantly, Kun Suthichai, here in the US, is if, you know, if you see your colleague, your fellow police officer do something that's illegal, that against the policy, against the law, you know, I'm not just saying corrupt, right? Just violate the law and violate the policy. If you're seeing someone and you don't intervene, you will go down with your friends.
Really? You have to intervene?
Yes. You have to stop. You have to intervene. You have to report.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? You cannot look the other way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if you look the other way, that's mean that you're guilty as that person.
Wow. I don't think that's a law in Thailand, or even if it's a law, it's not seriously enforced. Because the Thai culture as well, I think there's also the cultural aspect that in Thai society you don't do anything bad to your friend. And if you see your friend doing something bad, you turn the other way, or you try to warn him politely. And if he still insists on doing it, you will say, okay, it's up to you, right? But
It's not my business.
Not my business. But in America, what you just told me is the culture is totally different, and that is that if my colleague does something wrong, illegal, or improper, then I have to step in. Otherwise, I would go down with him or her as well, right?
100%, sir.
That,
20 years ago, sure, the culture, again, everything evolved, right? Policing, it's evolved. The way I look at it, the world, it's keeps spinning. So policing has to evolve as well. We need to move forward and improve the way we policing, and the policy has to constantly change and update. And we came a long way as well in terms of policing in America. And I think, Thailand needs to do the same thing. Again, the culture in policing in the U.S. used to be something similar, where if I see my colleague do something wrong, I just walk the other way. I just ignore he or she and don't look at it. Now, it's you are part of it. If you look at it and you see it, that's mean that you okay with it, and the law is not going to accept that.
I think also there's this question of the structure of the police force. Here in Thailand, it's very centralized. The whole country's police force, I think there must be about over 200,000 policemen.
Correct.
All of them come under the police chief, the national police chief. So the power is centralized, and the local police in each province don't report to the local community. They report to their direct bosses. And if they want any chances in their career path, they don't have to please the community. They have to please the boss. How is it different in America?
In the U.S. it's a little bit different because, again, each city, each province has its own police department, as aware of. We don't have a national police. The largest police department in the U.S. is NYPD, which has about 36,000 members. Compared to Thailand, you're talking about over 200,000. So again, Chicago, we have about 12,000. I think LAPD a little bit less than 10,000. So these are the top three in the U.S. So a little bit more controllable versus in Thailand, over 200,000. So again, I think this is much better to control in terms of, having a smaller department. In terms of, for example, a police department in the U.S. here, you report to your commander, which is within the district or within their station itself, that who is your number one. You don't report to the chief or the superintendent or the commissioner. So that's very, very rare that you have any type of relationship with the commissioner or even report to the commissioner at all. So again, I think from what I experienced in Thailand, you have too many bosses, and they just, not enough, too many chiefs and not enough Indians. I think, that's how we talk about, so much. So yes, I think I can't even begin how to, explain how how the structure of the Thai police, would work here in the U.S. I don't think that will ever happen in terms of a national police. To me, I believe in the system that they have in place right now. And even with my employer, with the Chicago Police Department, it's still large to me with 12,000 police members on one department. So.
How does the community control the behavior of the police officer?
So yes, that's an excellent question. So you're going to laugh about this one, Kun Suthichai. So we have a group of oversight. Okay. So what oversight? What I mean by that, when police officer either violate the policy or use force or use their gun on someone, okay, we have a community group, non-police, does not report to the commissioner, does not to report to the police chief. Okay, they will do their own investigation. So basically, the police department does not do an investigation on police misconduct or police involved use of deadly force. Will be community members that don't know anything about police work. Obviously, they know the law, they know the policy, and they do the investigations on all the misconducts. And then they'll make recommendation to the chief or to the commissioner that if the police officer should be fired or should be suspended or should be separate from the police department. So that is the structures, because we have the community involvement, and they are the oversight.
Does that happen often? The oversight committee intervening?
Yes, they intervene a lot, quite a bit. And I work directly with them at the training academy as well, because they have to be trained on our policy. They have to know how police are trained, and they have to learn how police officer functions out in patrol as well. But then again, because of the community involvement, by how the police department structures, and that's why we have to work hands in hands with them.
What would be your recommendation for the Thai police to regain trust of the public?
I think they need to start from the ground up. I know it's very difficult. I don't know if that will ever happen in our lifetime, to be honest with you.
But we have to have hope.
Yes, absolutely. I think we need to have hope, and we need to keep pushing forward, right? And we need to do it together, as a public or as community members. And I consider myself still a member of the Thai community. So I think we need to start with the policy, with having the restructure, maybe, and I know, my Thai friends or Thai, police counterparts will probably don't like me because I'm saying this is they need to break that national police structure down, just like you and I talk about, and breaking it down into maybe 9 different regions, and have a little bit smaller police department, and not everyone report to one commissioner or one person's, and then focusing on constitutional policing, and have community members involved in their decision making on with their structures, just like we have it here in the U.S. And I think that's where we need to start. And then I think the military style of policing, we need to get rid of that, the ranking, and and break that down into just more community-based policing. And I think that's where we need to focus, and then implement procedural justice. And I think that's where we need to start, and then we can go from there. There's a lot to talk about, I would say, but again, so much to talk about. But we got to start somewhere, I believe.
Yeah. Finally, what is a sergeant of police? What does he do? What kind of responsibilities for sergeant of police?
So we're supervising. We're as a supervisor. Again, as you know, as a sergeant within the Thai police, probably a very low ranking in Thailand.
Yeah.
But in the U.S. here, I wear white shirt instead of blue shirt. And then, if I work at the station itself, we call it the station supervisor. So I'm in charge of patrol, in my sector, in my, in my section. So again, we have we're a leader, more like a manager, I would say.
Supervisor.
Yes.
Would there be an equivalent title in the Thai police force? What would you call that in a Thai pattern, Thai system?
I wouldn't say I'm number one at the station. No, I would say maybe number three at the station. Within the station itself, maybe Pandamroto, Salawat, something like that. A shift supervisors, yes.
And you don't have to have a Ph.D. to have that.
No, of course not. This is something I went and did on my own.
So when you
and that's why they brought me back to the training academy right away.
Okay, another final question. Asians have been facing harassment, we say, by the local people in America. Is that still a concern for police there?
It doesn't happen as often as it used to be during COVID or post-COVID. I think it's a lot better now. It's a lot better. You very rare that you'll see someone wearing a mask. As you and I talked before in our previous conversation, I did a lot of education or training through Zoom, for crime preventions and hate crimes. So I haven't been doing that as much as I used to. So yes, it's been a lot better. We have not heard of any incidents involving, Asian hate or discriminations or anything like that. So, we're happy with that. Obviously, I think, we went through some tough time, but however, I think there's another conversation that another conversation in terms of post-COVID. Challenges, in terms of the next generations of policemen we're running across, where these younger kids, younger generation that post-COVID, now they're 21, 22, 23 years old. They lack of communication, lack of decision making, because they were sitting at home, or going, went to school through Zoom,
Yes. Well, that's another question that would require another hour of discussions, immigration policy.
Yes.
And it's going to be a big policy debate when the presidential election campaign comes up, I think. And it involves police enforcement, right? As well.
Yes, I'll tell you quickly. I do see the immigration issue here because Chicago is one of the sanctuary city. So again, we welcome the illegal immigrants that came across the border. However, what we've been seeing through the lenses of a police department or myself, we have a lot of illegals with younger generations that they don't look like myself, that looking for American dream. So that's another conversation as well.
Right. We have lots to talk about. And for today, thank you very much, Kuntrak, for joining my program to discuss what I think is one of the hottest topics in Thailand about police. But then, from your experience, I think we have learned a lot about how we should look at it from different viewpoints. And one of those angles would be from the American experience from you as a Thai citizen as well. Thank you very much, Kun Trak. And I hope to talk to you again about many other topics of great interest.
Yes, I'll be happy to. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Good night, Kun Trak. สวัสดี